Welcome to FocusIELTS.com simulation speaking test. So in this simulation test, I'm going to ask you some questions related to your proficiency in speaking since you are going to take IELTS test. So first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Ani. I'm your practice examiner for today. Would you please introduce yourself to me?
Okay. I'm Faisal Ibrahim. I'm a college student. I've been studying pharmaceutical sciences, especially pharmacology, since 4 years ago. And currently, I will praise my PhD in this October.
How do you feel today?
I'm so anxious, but I have to take a grip to face this mock test. But everything is okay. It's under control.
Okay, I'm going to give you instruction for each part of the test. So we are going to start with part 1. At the beginning of the test, you will usually ask to provide your identification card that you use for register yourself for the IELTS test. However, since this is only the practice test, so we do not need to do it today. So now in the part 1 of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Let us talk about your hometown. What kind of place is your hometown?
Okay, I live in Bandung since 2017 because I have to finish my study in Universitas Padjadjaran, and currently I still live in Bandung. Bandung is a great city for me, and has a good public transportation and also a good ambient for human to live, because generally Bandung has 19 until 24 degrees Celsius for the ambient, and also has a good humidity for me. And Bandung also has a lot of cafeteria that I can spend a lot of time there.
What do young people do for entertainment in your hometown?
As I said before, Bandung has a lot of cafeteria. They always spend their time to have a cup of coffee or tea or any food and beverage. And Bandung popular as a good city for people to spend their money for food.
What is the worst thing about living in your hometown?
One of the worst things for Bandung to believe first is the people. The people is very vibrant. So if someone wants to have a peace, for example, it's not suitable for them. And secondly, Bandung has bad pollution for 2019 until now, because the WHO has reported that Bandung has 79 degrees for their pollution, especially for carbon dioxide and also SO2.
I would like to move on and ask you some question about tourism in your country. What should a visitor see and do in your country?
I think many people need to take their experience in Lembang, because Lembang gives you a lot of natural figure and also has a good air quality. Besides that, Lembang will give you a lot of experience related with animal and then tree or any other tourism that give you a natural entertainment.
Are there any traditional art or music that you would recommend?
Okay, Bandung is Sundanese, so the ethnicity is very popular and very give a lot of experience for the tourists, because this is one of the most outstanding tourism of in Bandung. You can come to Sawung Ujau, or you can come to Muhammad Toha building. They will give you a lot of drama musical, and also give you experience to see Angklung, one of the identity or one of the traditional music in Bandung.
Tell me about the kind of visitor who come to your country.
There's a lot of visitors that have been in Bandung. The first, I can see Western visitor. They mostly like to take Lembang as a destination. And secondly, I can see most of Chinese or Japanese or Korean people in Bandung. Mostly they always try to take various food in Cihampelas, one of the small city in Bandung. And lastly, I can tell you that Bandung also interested for domestic tourists.
Let us move on and talk about being on time for appointments. Is being late acceptable in your culture?
Okay, in Indonesia, I can tell you that we have a culture called as budaya karet. Budaya karet is a culture for people to come late, but they still be acceptable. So it's fine for us, especially in a certain time, for example, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. But if I talk to you about this kind of topics in the overseas, for example, in the UK or Netherlands, punctuality is one of the most important things if you want to make a relation with someone. So different type of people reflects that you need to adapt with.
Are you ever late for appointments?
Of course, of course. I have led in some appointments. When I was a president in ASEAN Youth Initiative Conference, I was late to come to give an opening speech. So it's still acceptable actually, but one of the delegates come from Singapore, they criticized me that I have to be punctual, and also they will respect me if I did it.
What type of excuses do you think are all right for lateness?
For example, traffic jam. As you know, many cities in Indonesia has a bad public transportation, and also, for example, if you want to go to some place through a public transportation, they will excuse you to be a late person. And the second reason for someone that can be acceptable is, for example, sickness or any other reason related with your health condition.
Okay. How do you feel when someone is late for an appointment with you?
Sorry, I can hear you well.
How do you feel when someone is late for an appointment with you?
Okay, for me, I think it drives around the band because punctuality is very important for me. If you come late, everything will turn or will be shifted. And punctuality is one of the most important thing for you to develop something, because everything started with a discipline. And yeah, punctuality is very important for me.
Okay, that is the end of part 1. Now I'm going to give you a topic and I would like you to talk about it for 1 up to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you will definitely have 1 minute to think about what you are going to say, and you may take notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes, I understood.
In the real practice test, you might be given paper and notes, paper and pencil, but since this is only the practice test, so we do not need to do it today. So here is the topic. One minute to prepare. You may start now. Okay, I'm going to stop you there for the preparation time. Now we are going to have the individual long talk. So 1 up to 2 minutes to talk. You may start now.
Okay, I would like to tell you about medicinal chemistry. Medicinal chemistry is a biological and chemical related subject that will drives you to do drug discovery and development. Medicinal chemistry is very useful for human because, as you know, now we face coronavirus 2019 outbreaks, and many researchers turn to see and also to discover a new drugs for people. Medicinal chemistry will be the first gate for the scientists to find this kind of drugs. And I really enjoy with medicinal chemistry because I can do a simulation, a computational simulation, and then we code it as an in silico studies. We can design a lot of drugs from the computer, and also you can also try to simulate it in animals and also in the cells. Before we start to do biological evaluation, we need to synthesize the drugs, and organic chemistry will be useful for you to design and also synthesize the substance of interest. And one of the obstacles for me to enjoy this kind of course is the ability of the university to provide a proper instrument for the researcher, especially for drug discovery and development. As you know, Indonesia now has no substance that can be published to the world to cure coronavirus 2019
Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
So we have been talking about the course that you have done and then you found it useful. I'm going to ask you 2 questions related to it. Are you in touch with anyone from the course now?
Yeah, I keep in touch because I want to continue my PhD in this October, and then it's going to be a very happy relation with my professor in Universitas Pajajaran. One of the most outstanding professor in Indonesia for this subject or this expertise is Prof. Muhtaridi, and I try to keep in touch with him to give me some advice for my PhD and also to build my research proposal in the post. And yeah, this is one of the most important things for me to keep in touch with him.
Would you like to go on a course like this again?
Of course, I have to continue this kind of course to make a good and deep understanding about this. And one of the most interesting things, I have to start to learn about a new disease for the future because it's very challenging and also give me some like sufficient. It's very sufficient for me to have good understanding of this.
Okay, so we have been talking about a course you have done and found it useful. Now in part 3, I'm going to ask you questions related to the topic. First, let us consider homework. Do you think it is important that children are given homework?
Homework is a pivotal thing for the student to do, because homework will give you an individual travel, an individual you will give a personal and also individual understanding about the topics. Homework also gives you a lot of experience. When you do it in the night, for example, they will strengthen your mind and strengthen your understanding related to it.
How much homework should students be given?
Actually, the Ministry of Education has said that homework should be given to the student at least 15 minutes per day. This is what we call as a credits. Yeah, the ministry has said it. And one of the things that I want to know, that you need to know, that the teacher in Indonesia didn't see it. They give too much work, too much tasks for the student, and they ignore for the ministry rules about 50 minutes per day.
Do you think parents should help their children with their homework, or should it be done alone?
I think the students need to do their homework alone, but if they face the difficulties to do their homework, they can ask their parents, and the parents can give a help as good as they can. I mean, in a specific dose, in a focused dose.
Now we will discuss the relationship between education and work. How important is it to have a university education to get a job in your country?
I would like to tell you two kinds of story. The first, if you go to, for example, 2010 or 2015, bachelor degree, master degree, PhD, or any other degrees is very important to take a job in Indonesia. But currently, especially in 2017, startup is rising. Startup is rising, and many people try to open their business without considering the degree of their employee. So I think currently educational background is not that important. One of the most important is experience.
Does having a degree from another country enhance employment opportunities in your country?
For a specific area, it will work. But if you go to a business, if you go to a private sector, it won't work. Why? Because, for example, if you go to a government office and then you are looking for a job, your degree will be highlighted. But if you want to open your own business, you don't need to take a degree, you don't need to take a course, but if you have a good experience to open your business, yeah, you will rising.
Okay. What impacts do students who have studied abroad have on their country of origin when they come home?
Sorry, I didn't get it. Can you repeat?
What impacts do students who have studied abroad have on their country of origin when they come home?
There's a lot of impact, of course. The first, they will mix the culture, a good culture or a bad thing from the overseas will impact their behavior. For example, as I told you before, punctuality, they will change their mindset about punctuality, for example. And then the second one, of course, there's a lot of courses in Indonesia that is different with courses in the overseas. For example, economics is just economics in Indonesia. But if you go to the University of Oxford, there is no economics. They combine politics, philosophy, and economics, and the name of the course is PDE. This kind of mixture of education will give a good impact for Indonesian students, especially for the Indonesian society, and give them understanding that you can't stand alone. You need to integrate a lot of things, a lot of science to solve the problem. One of the best culture from UK or any other country in the world is the way of them to integrate a lot of science, and you cannot find it in Indonesia.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the speaking simulation test for IELTS done by focusielts.com. So how do you feel?
Yeah, actually, I think I will fail because I cannot perform well.
Okay, so I'm going to give you some feedback. There are 4 criteria that I would like to go with. The first one is coherence and fluency. So here, I would like to appreciate the way you answer my question. You could answer my question very well, fluently. You could give relevant answer to the question. So it means that you do not go out of topic. Your answer are all relevant. There is none of them that is go out of topic. So that is very good. The second one that I would like to highlight is that the way of you answering the question by using the linking words. So there are things that you have to put in mind that in IELTS, by the time you use the linking words, try to use it naturally, not formally, because speaking and writing is different. So in writing, you are expected to use the linking words formally, but in IELTS, you are expected to use the linking words naturally. So if the question is simple, if the question is about yourself and also some general question about yourself and the question are simple, try to answer the question using the linking words that are not too formal. So for example, the questions related to your hometown, try to answer it not using like firstly, secondly. So it is better if you go with and. Also, that's okay to repeat the linking words in speaking, because linking words, linking devices are to help the examiner to follow your idea. If the question is simple, go with the linking words that are naturally, not formally.
Okay.
And then next one in terms of lexical resources. So it is expected that in IELTS, you could use less common vocabulary and then idiomatic vocabulary. One of the easy way to do that is by using idiom. So if it is possible, try to use idiom and then advanced vocabulary to cover your speaking. So for example, the questions related to your hometown. What kind of place is your hometown? And then you could go with Bandung is my hometown. It has a lot of cafeteria. It has a lot of tourism places. I bet if you go there, you will definitely have a whale of a time. To have a whale of a time, it means to have a very fun and exciting time. So it is one of the idioms that you could use. However, it is good that you could use a wide range of vocabulary to talk flexibly about any topics. So that is great. Okay. Another one is about grammatical range and accuracy. So here the examiner is going to say whether you could use grammatical, you could use many type of sentences. So that is great that you could provide long answer. However, you have to pay attention that part 1 and part 3 are 2 different things. Part 1, you are expected to speak not too long, but not too short. Okay. Make it so. But in part 3, you are expected to talk longer than part 1, because in part 3, you have to provide the reasons and also the example behind your answer. Talking about grammatical range and accuracy, do not worry about the self-correction. So you have done that, and that is very good in the way you talk about it will sit, and then you correct it, become it will be shifted. So do not worry about making the self-correction. And then another one of, if I am not mistaken, it is one of the most interested place for tourists. It should be one of the most interesting. The place is interesting.
It should be like that.
Yeah, the place is interesting. That's why people are interested to visit. And the next one about pronunciation. So far, you could speak very well. You could pronounce the words correctly. So that's why I could hear it. However, please pay attention to this one. If you find out that the topic is familiar, you have experience in that topic, and then the questions are familiar to you, do not speak too fast. Because if you speak too fast, if you speak in a rush, and then it will hold down your pen score for pronunciation. But if you have no experience about the question, and then the question are not familiar to you, do not speak too slowly. Because if you speak too slowly, it will hold on your pen score for fluency and coherence.
I see.
Okay.
You'll find it in the part 2, I think.
Yeah.
Because this is my experience.
Okay. So far, do you have questions?
So I think it's enough. Thank you for your guidance.
Okay. So since you have no question, thank you for joining me today in the speaking simulation test done by focusielts.com.
Okay. By the way, I forgot something. Can I